I had an embarrassing incident happen to my helicopter while flying empty from an LZ. Suddenly we lost altitude fast from about 800 feet. I thought the helicopter next to us was shot down. We both landed in a very muddy rice paddy. I jumped out thinking to help pull the radios and guns off the shot down helicopter. I jumped off my helicopter and wound up stuck in mud up to my waist. I couldn't get out of the mud. I was thoroughly stuck. I was hoping that the NVA-VC were not around and start shooting. What a predicament. Finally, my gunner and the crew chief from the other helicopter managed to lightly slog through the mud to get to me, and with a lot of effort to pull me out. Once I could move again, I went toward the other helicopter to pull the radios, and the other crew chief asked what I was doing, and told me that my helicopter was the one that went down, and they were the ones that followed, so that they could help us. And he started laughing as he was a good friend of mine. How embarrassing for me. I got upset as the AC, who I never did like, never told me what our problem was before he made a very abrupt descent. We radioed in that we were down and needed a Chinook helicopter to come out and sling my helicopter out of the rice paddy. We were close to the base camp, so the Chinook showed up right away. In the meantime, we pulled the radios and machine guns and flew away. I finally got the word that the transmission oil pressure gauge went to 0, and that's when the AC landed fast, which was the right thing to do, but he never told me about it. He was usually hungover, and maybe that was the problem. Anyway, I never got to look at my helicopter before the maintenance guys and technical inspectors were swarming all over trying to figure out the problem. A tech inspector said that the transmission oil gauge wire was loose that connected at the transmission, and that it caused the instrument to show 0 pressure. Another said that the 3 transmission oil filter discs were upside down in the oil transmission filter, and that caused the pressure to drop, which didn't sound right to me as the discs were metal and both sides were the same, and if that were the case, it would seem that we would never have had oil pressure from startup, but we did. We checked the magnetic transmission oil plug for wear in the transmission but found no filings. But we all decided the transmission should be replaced, which would be playing on the safe side. It was almost due for a replacement anyway. And when oil pressure in the transmission for real drops to 0, you have about 1 minute before the transmission freezes up and the helicopter crashes down like a rock, or the main rotor separates from the helicopter and the same happens. Very important not to have that happen, obviously. I did have my buddy Ray Hopkins from maintenance help me with the filter and oil replacements for the gearboxes, the engine and transmission the evening before, which I never usually do. Ray, when he goofed up, would safety wire the nuts on a cover or whatever backwards, but I checked for that and no problem, but it was still my fault that I did not do everything myself.